Should the kids go to in-person school during the COVID-19 pandemic? What is the coronavirus? In order to know should the children go back to school during the coronavirus pandemic, we must know what is the coronavirus. Coronavirus is also known as COVID-19. It is a virus that attacks the lungs of a person, causing them problems breathing. When a person has the virus, their lungs are filled up with fluid like pneumonia, and they have very difficult time breathing and other health problems. It is contagious. No one has come up with a way to cure the virus, or they don't know where it come from, but it was discovered in a patient in China in the late part of 2019, early 2020, and it has rapidly spread across the United States and the world, affecting over 46.6 million people across the world, and 1.2 million people have died because of the. Should the kids go back to school during the coronavirus? In early March, the schools were closed because of the coronavirus pandemic. It is thought that no children should go to school during the coronavirus. I feel that no children should go to school during the coronavirus until there is a proper way to vaccinate the children. Or, like, the FDA hasn't even approved a way for a vaccine, and the vaccine hasn't been tested or proven to be effective yet. So I feel like children should not go back to school, especially in elementary schools, because most elementary children, they used to playing with each other, and they used to sharing things, and they used to being in close contact, going outside the recess and stuff. And if they go back to school, they'll just have to stay in the classroom. They won't get to play with their friends. They won't get to go on recess. They won't get to share things. They can't even have birthday parties in school anymore. They can't even have like different activities and stuff. They can't even go on field trips right now because of the coronavirus. So I really feel like school should not be open until there is a proper way to help the kids be able to be safe in school and also protect the staff, because you don't want the kids to go to school and catch the virus from the staff, and you don't want the kids to go to school and give the virus to the staff. The effects of the virus on schools. In early March, schools closed across the country when the pandemic first started to help slow the spread of the infection amongst the children and staff in the schools. All schools in 2019-2020 school year ended the spring semester with doing school online, and they started the 2020-2021 school semester in the fall. They started online learning as well. Many parents had to adjust to having their kids learning online and being at home with the kids while doing virtual school. Some parents had to stop work in order to be home with the kids to do virtual school. Some parents even had to take a leave of absence because they did not have anybody to watch their kids. Some parents want to send their kids to school, but they know that if they send their kids to school, it's a possibility they can catch the virus, but they don't have nobody to watch their kids, and some parents have to work in order to take care of the kids and to provide a proper living for the kids. Most, as a parent, should I send my kids to school? That is the top concern of parents. Should I send my kids to school? Because most parents, they want to send their kids to school because they know that the kids need to learn, but they want to keep them home because they know that the virus is dangerous and it's killing people, and they don't want to see their kids in the grave. They don't want to see their kids die. They don't want to see any of the teachers die. So that's why they want to keep the kids home. Most parents have a concern of, if I send the kids to school, how will the school protect them against the virus? That's the number one concern. How is the schools protecting them from the virus? Right now, the states don't have enough money because they're still waiting on another stimulus package to be passed, and it hasn't been passed yet. In order for the states to get more money, in order to allocate funds to the schools so that schools can have enough PPE equipment and enough supplies in order to clean the schools properly and have safety measures put in place where more teachers can be hired in order to spread out the children amongst us. Because see, if you only have 2 teachers in teaching pre-K and you have 50 kids that need to be in pre-K, how are you going to keep them social distance when you don't have enough teachers? So you have to have enough teachers in order to provide social distancing. And right now, there's not enough teachers and enough funding to keep the school safe. What if your child has health problems and sending them to school during the virus is not really responsible? Because if you send them to school during the virus and they have health problems like asthma, bronchitis, sickle cell, any other autoimmune diseases that could happen to kids, or they have type 1 diabetes, it's not safe to send the kids to school during the virus because they are more prone to getting the virus. And if they get the virus, it's going to take a worse effect on them because they already have pre-existing conditions. And according to the CDC, over 792,000 children have tested positive for the coronavirus, and ages 12 through 17 had twice as many cases as those as 5 through 11. But it's still not safe to send the kids to school because just because ages 12 through 17 may have twice as much cases as 5 to 11, that still doesn't mean that 5 to 11 is exempt from catching the virus. So if you send your child to school, they might catch the virus because you never know if a teacher may be asymptomatic, and you never know if your child is asymptomatic and may be passing it on to the teachers or other students or other staff. So it's best to keep the children at home to ensure the safety and health of the students. CNBC conducted a study where they asked 20 medical doctors if they would send their kids back to school during the pandemic. 6 of the doctors said yes. 8 said wait and see if the cases rise or fall. And the other 6 said they would stay with virtual learning. One of the doctors, Dr. Foss, said the answer to sending the kids back to school depends on how well COVID-19 is controlled in the fall and winter. Which I truly agree with him on that because you have to see how, because the virus thrives in cold weather. We found that out in the early beginning of the virus, that it thrives in cold weather, but it doesn't thrive in hot weather. Like, so if you heat up the virus, it doesn't survive. So you have to find a way to control the virus, but during the fall and winter it's cold, so that makes it more prone for the virus to thrive. But during the summer months, we saw a little decline in the cases of the coronavirus in Europe and other places. But now that it's fall, you see a constant rise again of the virus. Because Europe thought they wouldn't have to reset down again, but they started, in some of the European countries, they're starting to reset down again because the number of cases is rising. And in the United States, it has been 100,000 to 100,000 cases a day of the virus, and the virus is rising in all of the states. It's rising, and it's not falling. So should we send the kids back to school when there's no cure yet for the virus? It's not even a vaccine yet, and according to FDA guidelines, it takes at least 18 to 24 months to go through the proper clinical trials and stuff to be approved to be even on the market as a vaccine. And you have to be approved by the FDA before you can even be put on the market. So it's going to take a while before there's even a vaccine available. It's not just an instant thing. Like some people in the government think, oh, you can instantly get a vaccine. No, it takes some time. If you go through the proper techniques, and if you were a biology major or a chemistry major in school and you had to take them classes that teach you about how to make a vaccine, then you would know that a vaccine doesn't just come instantly. It takes time to make a vaccine. So you have to wait properly. And so until there's a vaccine, I feel like virtual learning is where it's at. I mean, the kids are still learning. It might not be in the classroom like you want it to be, but at least they're still getting an education regardless of being in the class or not. They're still getting education. So I'd rather protect their health by staying home and letting them get an education from the house and sending them to school and they have to be sick. They're getting sick in order to get an education. Because in the end, if they get sick and die from getting the education, then what was it all for if they get sick and die? Voice of a concerned parent. A concerned parent of a student going to the school in the Savannah County School District in Savannah, Georgia, was interviewed. While interviewing him, I asked him why he felt the kids should not go to school during the pandemic. And he said, I believe the schools are not prepared or equipped enough to provide a safe learning environment for the kids during this pandemic. Also, there has not been any support for the school from the government with proper resources to help the schools to provide a safe and clean environment. I feel once there is either a vaccine or a way to ensure the total safety and well-being of the students and the staff, the kids should not be allowed to go back to school. The infection rate of the virus is climbing and continuing to climb, and the kids should not be subject to going to in-person school as the cases are rising. Once the cases fall down, maybe there could be a way of getting them back in school, but right now he feels that the children should not go to school. How do teachers feel about going to in-person learning during the virus? In Chatham County School District, where I live, 57% of the teachers are opposed to going back to school. They feel that it is not safe for the students or staff to return to school. And there have already been cases of coronavirus within some of the students from the local high schools. Yes, the teachers agree in-person learning is less stressful than virtual, but they want to make sure the students and staff are safe before going back to school. Also in Chatham County, they implemented where they tried to do hybrid learning. So they asked the parents whether or not they want to send their kids back to school for in-person learning, and 90% of the parents said no, they're not going to send their children back to school for hybrid learning. Hybrid learning is when you go to school for some part of the week, and then you do online learning for the rest of the part of the week. And 90% of the parents said they didn't even want to do hybrid learning. They just wanted to let their child stay at home as much as possible, because some parents feel like they don't even want to send their kids for 2 days because that still can expose them to getting the virus. Last thoughts. Until the spread of the virus is controlled, students should not be going to school at all in person. Yes, parents must work, but the safety, health, and well-being of the students and staff should be top priority. In the Chatham County School District where I live, the grades of the students have increased by 52% since the students have been on virtual learning. As virtual learning is not always easy, but it protects the health and well-being of the kids, then schools should continue to stay closed until the virus is properly controlled. I feel like schools should not be open at all because it's not safe at all for the kids to go to school. There's not even a vaccine yet. Until there's a vaccine that has been approved by the FDA, you should not send your child to school. Yes, you might have to work, but you might have to just work your schedule around your kids' virtual learning until there's a proper way to protect it. Because you don't want to send your child to school and they catch the virus and then they get in the hospital and then you get sick too from the virus and then that causes your whole household to get sick. So please do not send your child to school during the coronavirus. Stay home if you can, wear your mask, wash your hands, get hand sanitizer when you can't wash your hands, protect yourself, stay home. Wear the hospital mask. Do not wear the cloth mask because the cloth mask do not protect you. Only 5 to 10%. Them pretty masks, you might want to wear a pretty mask, but them pretty masks only protect you 5 to 10%. It might look pretty, but it's not really protecting you. So either get you a hospital mask like this, or get you an N95 mask if you can. But please stay home and keep your child home, because we do not want your child to be sick. We don't want your child to die. We want your child to be healthy. We want your child to grow up and be an active part of this community. So please keep your child safe. Please do not send your child to school. This has been your public service announcement, and please do not send your child to school. If you got to, homeschool them if you can. If your school district say the child got to go to school and you don't want them to go to school, try homeschooling them or see if there's an alternative way that you can school them. And if you must send your child to school, make sure you have the mask for the child, make sure you have the hand sanitizer for the child, make sure you got everything in place so that your child can be protected from this virus. Back.